Since 1978, the cost of textbooks in the U.S. has risen 812%. Nationally, students spend an average of $1,200 a year on textbooks. Within Maryland alone, 2-year and 4-year students spend over $263 million a year in textbooks.
I would say it's hard trying to get textbooks up front because they're expensive, and I don't necessarily have like $200 for books for 3 different classes.
Definitely made the affordability of higher education a little bit more challenging, because once you pay the tuition and fees, you think you're all done.
My school bookstore was actually out of it, so I couldn't actually do my homework.
If you don't have your own version of the textbook in front of you for a class to study from, then you're not going to be as successful.
Majority are first-generation college students, so they try to get by without buying the book, or they delay getting the book. Financial aid vouchers are delayed, and so sometimes it's 4 or 5 weeks into the semester and they're still playing catch-up for the rest of the time.
Instead of my typical 1 chapter per week layout, I would end up having to allocate a chapter for every 1.5 weeks, at least in the very beginning of the semester, which of course at the end that means that there's a chapter or 2 that I probably cannot cover.
The Maryland Open Source Textbook Initiative was launched in 2013. It's actually a collaboration between the William E. Kerwin Center for Academic Innovation, which I direct, and the USM Student Council. They came to me shortly after I started in this job, actually, and asked if the Kerwin Center would be interested and willing to collaborate with them on a textbook affordability project that they had that year. And I jumped at the chance. So in addition to having the great opportunity to work with students, I think they had a vision for what OER could do across the state and understood the potential for OER not just to save students money, but to enhance collaborations between our 2-year and 4-year institutions and public and private.
Open educational resources are any openly licensed instructional materials which are available to students at little or no cost. Examples of OER include textbooks, course readings, games, syllabi, quizzes, assessment tools, video, and virtually any other material that can be retained, reused, revised, remixed, and redistributed for instructional purposes.
Most faculty are open to it. They understand the moral value of saving students money, but also what I found is the argument that I could use is it's the why of using the OER, and that's to enhance our teaching and learning process.
This is the cultural shift in higher education, a cultural shift in education in general, and that takes time, but students are certainly behind it and supportive, and will be some of the chief advocates to push this, not only system-wide, but across the country and across the world.
My teacher can go in and put in more videos, put in more links, and I feel like it just makes everything so much better.
Having this opportunity of having students begin to critically think about the text that they're reading and not take it as gospel, but something that is designed to be questioned and come up with their own answer.
I can ask my students to create their own genres about an argument. So if we're talking about, let's say, tax policy, I say to the students, why don't you create a new genre about tax policy, a letter to the Senate, maybe a children's story to teach tax policy to a 6-year-old.
OER definitely changed my perception of how I approach my classes. I was really engaged. I took control.
The students are benefiting by using OER because they learn that scholarship doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's a collaborative process in which we all join in and many voices are put together to create something new.
Since 2013, we've saved students across 53 courses about $1.6 million. Which works out to be about $141 on average per student per course.
Professors and faculty go into teaching because they want to have an impact on students. And this is a way that faculty members and professors can have a direct positive impact on students that they won't forget because you're saving them money.
I think the point of higher education is faculty and student interaction. And what I've seen through this whole cultural change is that they're really receptive because they realize that this benefits the main customers, and that is which we the students.
Most of my most vocal students are actually returning adults and returning veterans. And what he said was, once I saw your course had free instructional materials, it immediately became my favorite course. And this is the future of education, and that education is now.